can make a racial comment and not be a racist. Because you got a problem with one person, that don't mean you don't like the whole group.
You won't believe some of the names on this list. These are celebrities who have said or done things that sparked major controversy, and in some cases, their careers have never been the same. Let's get into the 20 worst black Hollywood celebs you didn't know were racist. Number 20, Steve Harvey. You know him for his jokes and smooth hosting skills, but did you know Steve Harvey once mocked Asian men on live television? Steve Harvey is usually the guy making people laugh, but in 2017, he made headlines for all the wrong reasons. On the Steve Harvey Show, he mocked the idea of Asian men being attractive, saying, "Excuse me, do you like Asian men? No." He even doubled down, pretending to gag at the idea. His comments sparked outrage, with many accusing him of reinforcing harmful stereotypes. People pointed out that in Hollywood, Asian men have long been misrepresented as weak or unattractive, and Harvey's remarks only fueled that narrative. What made things worse? Well, his apology felt forced. He later said, "I offer my humblest apology for offending anyone." But critics felt he only apologized because of the backlash. This wasn't Harvey's only controversy. He also made questionable statements about race and relationships, once advising black women to only date within their race if they wanted a successful marriage. His old-school views on gender and race have caused ongoing debates. Did you know Steve Harvey was once homeless and lived in his car for nearly 3 years before making it big? His struggle is surprising, but his comedy, well, it hasn't always landed well with everyone. Number 19, Raven-Symon. She grew up as America's sweetheart on That's So Raven. But did you know she once said she wouldn't hire certain black people? Raven-Symon, a former Disney star and talk show host, shocked everyone when she admitted on national television that she wouldn't hire someone with a ghetto name. During an episode of The View, she said, "I'm sorry, I just have to be honest. I'm not about to hire you if your name is Watermelon Drea." The backlash was immediate. Many saw her comments as reinforcing negative stereotypes about black people and their cultural names. Given that she herself has a unique name, fans were stunned by her words. But it didn't stop there. Raven was also criticized for distancing herself from the black community. She once said, "I'm not African American, I'm American," a statement that sparked debates about identity and self-hate. Many accused her of being out of touch, especially as someone who became famous in a show that celebrated black culture. Despite the backlash, Raven later apologized, claiming her words were taken out of context. But the damage was already done. Many fans felt betrayed by someone they once saw as a positive role model. Did you know that Raven-Symon was the youngest comedian ever to appear on The Cosby Show? At just 3 years old, she was already stealing the spotlight. Too bad some of her later comments dimmed it for many fans. Number 18, Morgan Freeman. What if I told you one of Hollywood's most respected voices told you that racism only exists because people talk about it? Well, that's exactly what happened. Morgan Freeman, the legendary actor known for his wisdom and commanding voice, shocked many when he dismissed the concept of systemic racism. In a now infamous 60 Minutes interview with Mike Wallace, Freeman said, "Stop talking about it and it'll go away." His stance was clear. He believes racism is a problem only because people keep bringing it up. When Mike Wallace asked how to fix racial issues, Freeman replied, "I'm going to stop calling you a white man, and I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man." Well, some agreed with his perspective. Others felt his comments ignored the realities of racial discrimination in America. Critics pointed out that ignoring racism doesn't erase the structural barriers that still exist in jobs, housing, and policing. Even more controversial was his stance on Black History Month. Freeman called it ridiculous, arguing that Black history is American history and should not be confined to 1 month. While his intentions may have been about inclusion, many saw it as dismissing the importance of highlighting Black contributions. Did you know that before becoming an actor, Freeman was a U.S. Air Force mechanic? He once dreamed of being a fighter pilot, but later realized Hollywood was his true calling. Too bad some of his opinions have grounded him in controversy. Number 17, Lil Wayne. What if one of the biggest rappers in the world said racism doesn't exist? You'd think they're joking, right? Well, Lil Wayne isn't. Lil Wayne, a rap legend, has openly dismissed the idea of racism, claiming it has never affected him. In a world where artists like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole rap about racial inequality, Wayne takes a completely different stance. During an interview with ABC's Nightline, he shocked fans when he said, "I don't know what racism is. I know a lot of people, but I don't know a racist person." His reasoning? He points to his success in the music industry, saying that since white fans support his music, racism must not exist. But what really pushed the controversy was his reaction to Black Lives Matter. When asked about the movement, he responded, "I don't feel connected to a damn thing that ain't got nothing to do with me." His comments didn't sit well with many, especially in a genre built on telling the stories of marginalized communities. Critics argue that Wayne's wealth and fame have insulated him from the realities that everyday Black Americans face. However, he later walked back his statements, saying they were misunderstood. Did you know that Lil Wayne was once saved by a white police officer after accidentally shooting himself as a child? He credits that moment as proof that race doesn't define people, a belief that still influences his controversial views today. Number 16, Whoopi Goldberg. She's an EGOT winner, a Hollywood icon, and one of the most influential Black actresses of all time. But her take on racism? Controversial. Whoopi Goldberg found herself in hot water when she made a shocking statement about the Holocaust. On The View, she claimed, "The Holocaust isn't about race." Instead, she argued it was about man's inhumanity to man. Her words caused an instant uproar. Historians, Jewish organizations, and the general public pushed back, reminding her that Hitler specifically targeted Jewish people as an inferior race. Despite widespread backlash, Whoopi doubled down before finally apologizing. ABC suspended her for 2 weeks, making it clear they wouldn't tolerate such misinformation. But this wasn't the first time Whoopi made controversial racial comments. Years earlier, she defended her then-boyfriend, comedian Ted Danson, after he performed in blackface at a roast. While most people found it offensive, Whoopi insisted it was just comedy. Her history of controversial race-related takes makes it hard for some to see her as an advocate for equality. While she continues to be a powerful voice in Hollywood, these missteps have left a lasting stain on her reputation. Did you know Whoopi Goldberg's real name is Karen Elaine Johnson? She adopted Whoopi because she used to be so funny on stage that people said she sounded like a whoopee cushion. Number 15, Terry Crews. From NFL star to Hollywood's favorite tough guy, Terry Crews is known for his charm and comedy. But his views on race? Not so funny. Terry Crews faced massive backlash when he warned against black supremacy during the height of the Black Lives Matter movement. He tweeted, "Defeating white supremacy without white people creates black supremacy. Equality is the truth." People were furious. Many saw this as a false equivalence. How could a historically oppressed group become oppressors overnight? Critics argued that his words played into a common narrative used to undermine the fight for racial justice. This wasn't a one-time mistake. Crews doubled down, later saying, "We must ensure that Black Lives Matter doesn't morph into Black Lives Better." While his intent may have been unity, his execution missed the mark, and he was accused of tone deafness. Even fellow celebrities like Don Lemon and Gabrielle Union called him out. Some believe Crews is out of touch with the struggles of regular Black Americans, living in a bubble of privilege due to his fame. Despite the criticism, Crews refused to apologize, saying he won't be controlled by either side of the political spectrum. But his comments left a sour taste for many of his fans. Did you know Terry Crews is also a talented artist? He once worked as a courtroom sketch artist before making it big in Hollywood. Number 14, Azealia Banks. She's one of the most outspoken rappers in the industry, but her words have often gotten her into serious trouble, and this time, it's racial. Azealia Banks has built a reputation for controversy, but some of her most shocking moments involve racist remarks against one ethnic group. In 2016, she went on a Twitter tirade against former One Direction singer Zayn Malik, calling him a sand n blank blank and mocking his Pakistani heritage. The backlash was immediate. Twitter suspended her account and she lost major festival bookings. But that's not all. Banks also made other offensive remarks about Asian people, once tweeting, "Why do all the Filipinos think they can sing?" In another incident, she insulted a flight attendant by calling him a chinky, a deeply offensive slur for Asians. Her controversial statements aren't just limited to other races. She's also made colorist remarks against black people. She once insulted singer Tinashe, saying, "You're like a white woman with a tan." Many saw this as an attack on mixed-race black women. Despite multiple apologies, Banks always seemed to find herself in the same cycle, provoking, apologizing, and then repeating the same behavior. While she's undeniably talented, her racial controversies have overshadowed her music career. Did you know Azealia Banks once claimed to be a witch and even admitted to practicing sacrifices? Whether real or not, she definitely knows how to keep people talking. Number 13, Kevin Hart. One of the funniest comedians in Hollywood, but his past jokes? Not so funny. Kevin Hart's history of racially and culturally insensitive jokes has sparked outrage. Kevin Hart has been called out multiple times for his problematic humor, but one of his biggest controversies involved an old stand-up routine where he made fun of dark-skinned black women. In one clip, he joked that the dark-skinned women have bad credit. The joke sparked outrage, with many accusing him of reinforcing colorist stereotypes. But it doesn't stop there. Hart has also been called out for his anti-Asian jokes. In a resurfaced tweet from 2010, he wrote, "Why does every Asian person have a black belt?" While some fans defended it as just humor, others pointed out that these stereotypes of jokes reinforce racial stereotypes. His biggest scandal, however, came when homophobic tweets from years ago resurfaced, costing him his gig as the Oscars host. Though not race-related, it added to the growing scrutiny over his comedic style and whether it crosses the line. Hart has since apologized, but some believe his humor still punches below rather than up. He insists he's grown and learned from his past mistakes, but for some fans, the damage is already done. Did you know Kevin Hart almost died in a horrific car crash in 2019? He survived, but had to go through months of intense physical therapy to recover. Number 12, Pharrell Williams. He is the king of feel-good music, but Pharrell's take on race, well, it's left many scratching their heads. Did he really suggest racism is just a mindset? Pharrell Williams found himself in controversy when he introduced the term new black, suggesting that success is based on mindset rather than racial struggles. In a 2014 Oprah Prime interview, he said, "The new black doesn't blame other races for our issues." Many saw this as a dangerous oversimplification, dismissing centuries of racial injustice. Critics accused him of ignoring systemic racism, and a statement implied that racism could be overcome simply by thinking differently. While Pharrell later clarified that he wasn't denying racism exists, the damage was already done. Many saw him as out of touch. Another controversy erupted when he supported Blurred Lines, the song by Robin Thicke that faced backlash for its misogynistic lyrics. In a later interview, Pharrell admitted, "I didn't realize some of my lyrics were problematic." Though Pharrell has done a lot for racial equality, including supporting black artists and communities, his comments on race have led to significant backlash. Fans expected more from someone who has long represented black excellence in music. Did you know Pharrell helped write Beyoncé's hit song Blow and co-produced the Despicable Me soundtrack? Despite his controversies, his impact on music is undeniable. Number 11, Chris Rock. He's one of the greatest comedians ever, but when it comes to racial jokes, Chris Rock has crossed the line more than once. Chris Rock is known for his unfiltered comedy, but one particular moment shocked fans. In a viral clip from 2011, he sat alongside Louis C.K. and Ricky Gervais, laughing as the white comedians casually used the N-word. Even fellow comedian Jerry Seinfeld refused to participate, saying, "I don't think you guys should be saying that." The backlash wasn't immediate, but when the clip resurfaced years later, fans were outraged. People questioned why Rock allowed white comedians to say the racial slur so freely without checking them. Some even accused him of encouraging racial disrespect for the sake of humor. This wasn't Rock's only controversy. He also faced backlash for hosting the 2016 Oscars, where he made fun of Jada Pinkett Smith for boycotting the event due to the lack of black nominees. His joke, "Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited." While many found it funny, others thought it was undermining an important movement. Despite his legendary status, Rock's approach to race in comedy remains controversial. Some appreciate his willingness to discuss racial issues, while others feel he occasionally crosses the line. Did you know Chris Rock was almost cast as George Costanza in Seinfeld? Imagine how different the show would have been. Number 10, Nick Cannon. He built a career as a comedian and TV host, but one interview, it nearly destroyed everything. Nick Cannon's racial controversy? Bigger than you think. Nick Cannon faced massive backlash in 2020 when he made anti-Semitic and racially charged comments on his podcast, Cannon's Class. He claimed that black people are the true Hebrews and accused Jewish people of controlling the media and financial industries. The backlash was immediate. Viacom CBS, the company behind MTV, Nickelodeon, and Wild 'N Out, fired him overnight. He later apologized, but many believed his words played into dangerous conspiracy theories that have historically fueled racial and religious tensions. Cannon has also made controversial remarks about white people. In the same podcast, he suggested that white people lack compassion because they lack melanin, which he called superpower. Many saw this as a reverse racist statement, arguing that it generalized an entire race negatively. Though he later met with Jewish leaders and issued multiple apologies, the damage was already done. Some fans defended him, saying his words were misinterpreted, but others felt he crossed a major line. Did you know Nick Cannon scored an almost perfect SAT score and was offered multiple Ivy League scholarships? Despite his goofy public image, he's highly intelligent. Number 9, Cuba Gooding Jr. He went from an Oscar-winning actor to scandal-ridden celebrity. But did you know Cuba Gooding Jr. also faced backlash for racially insensitive comments? Cuba Gooding Jr.'s legal troubles have overshadowed his career, but his racial controversies have also raised eyebrows. One of the most bizarre moments? In 2016, he drunkenly grabbed the microphone at a charity event and started making jokes about race, slavery, and black stereotypes. Attendees reported that Gooding Jr. mocked African culture and made offensive remarks that left people uncomfortable. Though no recordings exist, those who were there claimed that he was making racially insensitive jokes at a Black History Month event. The irony was not lost on anyone. But his history of problematic comments doesn't stop there. During the height of the Black Lives Matter movement, Cuba was noticeably silent, only breaking a silence to say he didn't feel obligated to speak about racial issues. This frustrated many fans who believed that, as a black actor in Hollywood, he had a responsibility to use his platform. Combined with his sexual misconduct allegations, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s reputation has taken a major hit. Once considered a Hollywood favorite, his name now is associated with controversy. Did you know Cuba Gooding Jr. worked as a breakdancer for Lionel Richie before becoming an actor? He even performed at the 1984 Olympics. Number 8, Jaden Smith. He grew up in Hollywood royalty, but Jaden Smith's controversial comments about race left many questioning his views. Did he really dismiss white rappers? Jaden Smith, son of Will Smith and Jaden Pinkett Smith, has always been outspoken, but in 2018 he made headlines for claiming that white rappers don't belong in hip-hop. He tweeted, "The industry is messed up because white people are trying to take over hip-hop. Stay in your lane." While many agreed that hip-hop originated in black culture, critics argued that music should be inclusive and that his comments felt exclusionary. Some even accused him of being racist towards white artists, ignoring the contributions of figures like Eminem, Mac Miller, and the Beastie Boys. But this wasn't Jaden's only racial controversy. He has also been accused of cultural elitism, implying that his version of blackness is superior to others. During an interview, he once said, "I don't fit in with the black community because I don't talk about the things they do." Many felt he was looking down on the everyday experiences of black Americans. While Jaden has since toned down his comments, his words have left a lasting impression. Though he's incredibly talented, his statements on race often spark debate rather than unity. Did you know Jaden Smith was the youngest artist ever to perform at Coachella? He took the stage at just 18 years old. Number 7, Stacey Dash. From clueless star to political commentator, Stacey Dash's views on race have made her one of the most controversial black celebrities in Hollywood. Stacey Dash was once beloved for her role as Dion in Clueless, but over the years, her outspoken opinions on race and politics have turned her into a divisive figure. Her most infamous take? She called for the cancellation of Black History Month. During a 2016 Fox News interview, Dash stated, "If we want equality, we need to get rid of things like BET and Black History Month." She argued that black people shouldn't have separate spaces for celebrating their history, which many saw as an attack on black culture. It didn't stop there. Dash also dismissed the concept of systemic racism, claiming that black people use it as an excuse for failure. "We need to stop making everything about race," she once said in an interview. Critics slammed her for being out of touch, especially since Hollywood has been long criticized for its treatment of black actors. Even her former co-stars distanced themselves from her, with many saying she had become an example of internal racism. While she later apologized and admitted she was being used by right-wing media, the damage was already done. Did you know Stacey Dash is actually 50-plus years old, but still looks like she's in her 30s? Her youthful appearance has shocked fans for years. Number 6, Tyrese Gibson. He's known for his roles in Fast and Furious, but Tyrese's comments about race and beauty standards left many fans disappointed. What did he say? Tyrese Gibson sparked a major backlash when he made colorist comments about black women. In a 2017 interview, he praised natural women while shaming women who wear weaves, wigs, or makeup. He specifically targeted dark-skinned black women, suggesting they try too hard to be beautiful. His words didn't sit well with many, as they reinforced harmful stereotypes about black women's beauty standards. Fans accused him of being hypocritical, especially since he has dated non-black women while criticizing black women for their choices. But his controversial takes on race go beyond beauty. Tyrese once posted an Instagram rant calling out black people for not supporting each other, blaming the community for its own struggles. He even said, "If Jews and Asians can stick together, why can't we?" While some agreed, others felt he was oversimplifying complex racial issues. Tyrese later apologized for his comments, claiming his words were misunderstood. But his reputation took a hit, with many fans seeing him as out of touch with the struggles of black women and the black community as a whole. Did you know Tyrese was discovered on a Coca-Cola commercial in the 1990s? His incredible singing voice launched his career even before he got into acting. Number 5, Omarosa Manigault Newman. She went from reality TV villain to White House insider, but did Omarosa use race as a tool for personal gain? Well, many believe she did. Omarosa Manigault Newman first gained fame on The Apprentice, where she became known as one of reality TV's biggest villains. But it was her role in Donald Trump's administration that caused the most controversy. During Trump's history of racially charged moments, Omarosa defended him, saying he is not a racist. She even claimed he was a champion for the black community. Many saw this as an attempt to secure power and influence rather than stand up for racial injustice. However, after she was fired from the White House, her tune changed. She suddenly exposed Trump's racism, releasing secret tapes and calling him dangerous. Critics accused her of playing both sides, using race to advance her career while turning against Trump only when it benefited her. Even in interviews, when asked why she didn't speak out sooner, Omarosa dodged the question. Many believe she was more interested in personal gain than real activism. Her credibility took a hit, and she remains one of the most controversial black figures in politics and entertainment. Did you know Omarosa was once a pastor? Before entering politics and reality TV, she studied theology and even preached at a church. Number 4, Jussie Smollett. He went from a rising star to one of the most controversial figures in Hollywood. But why did Jussie Smollett fake a hate crime? Jussie Smollett, best known for his role in Empire, made headlines in 2019 after claiming he was the victim of a racist and homophobic attack in Chicago. He told police that 2 masked men, wearing MAGA hats, assaulted him, poured bleach on him, and tied a noose around his neck. The nation was outraged, and celebrities rushed to support him. But then the story fell apart. Investigators discovered that Smollett had staged the entire attack and paid 2 men, who were actually his acquaintances, to fake the assault. Prosecutors revealed text messages, surveillance footage, and even a paper trail proving that Smollett orchestrated the hoax to boost his career and gain sympathy. When the truth came out, it damaged real victims of racism and hate crimes. Many people, including activists, felt betrayed because his actions gave fuel to those who dismiss real racial discrimination. He was convicted of lying to police and sentenced to jail, though he continues to claim innocence. Did you know Jussie Smollett was a child actor in the 1990s? He appeared in The Mighty Ducks long before his rise to fame in Empire. Too bad his biggest headline wasn't about his talent. Number 3, Lee Daniels. He created some of the biggest black-led TV shows, but Lee Daniels has been accused of reinforcing negative stereotypes rather than breaking them. Lee Daniels, the man behind Empire and Precious, has been praised for bringing black stories to Hollywood, but many argue that his work often reinforces harmful stereotypes rather than breaking barriers. Critics say he profits off a black trauma by constantly depicting black people as criminals, abusers, or struggling with extreme poverty. One of his biggest controversies was Precious, a film that, while critically acclaimed, was accused of pushing exaggerated portrayals of black suffering. Even Hollywood director Spike Lee criticized Daniels, saying, "We need more than just stories about black pain." Daniels himself made questionable racial statements. In a 2015 interview, he said, "Black people need to stop blaming racism and start taking responsibility." Well, some saw this as tough love. Others believe he was ignoring systemic racism and pushing a dangerous narrative. Another scandal? His ongoing support of Jussie Smollett after the fake hate crime. Even after overwhelming evidence showed Smollett lied, Daniels continued to defend him, making many question his credibility. Did you know Lee Daniels was homeless before making it big? He once worked as a receptionist before landing his first big break in Hollywood. Number 2, Isaiah Washington. He was a star on Grey's Anatomy, but a racist and homophobic scandal sent his career into a tailspin. What really happened? Isaiah Washington was once a fan favorite as Dr. Preston Burke on Grey's Anatomy. But in 2006, he was fired from the hit show after a scandal involving racist and homophobic slurs. Reports surfaced that he got into a heated argument with co-star Patrick Dempsey, during which he referred to fellow castmate T.R. Knight using a homophobic slur. At first, Washington denied using the slur, but then made things worse when he repeated it backstage at the Golden Globes while trying to prove his innocence. The backlash was swift. ABC fired him, and he was essentially blacklisted from Hollywood for years. But his controversies don't stop there. Washington also made racially divisive comments, including criticizing the black community for supporting Democrats and suggesting that slavery-era thinking still controls black people today. While he has his supporters, many believe his views are outdated and problematic. Even though he later apologized for the homophobic incident, his reputation never fully recovered. He made a brief return to Grey's Anatomy years later, but his Hollywood career was never the same. Did you know Isaiah Washington is a licensed private pilot? Before his acting career, he dreamed of flying airplanes professionally. Number 1, Kanye West, or Ye. He went from one of the most influential artists of all time to one of the most controversial. Kanye West's downfall? It started with racism. Kanye West, now known legally as Ye, has made headlines for racist, anti-Semitic, and inflammatory statements that shocked the world. The most infamous? In 2018, he said on TMZ Live, slavery was a choice. His words stunned fans, who couldn't believe he would downplay the horrors of slavery. Then, in 2022, he took his controversies even further, making multiple anti-Semitic comments, including praising Hitler and blaming Jewish people for controlling the media. Major brands like Adidas, Balenciaga, and Gap dropped him, costing him billions of dollars overnight. Kanye has also worn a White Lives Matter shirt, aligning himself with far-right figures who dismiss racism. Many believe he uses shock value for attention, while others argue that his mental health struggles contribute to his erratic behavior. Despite multiple apologies and attempts to clarify his statements, Kanye remains one of the most divisive figures in modern pop culture. Once hailed as a genius, he is now known for his dangerous rhetoric and alienation from the industry. Did you know Kanye was the first black man to own a billion-dollar sneaker brand? Before his downfall, Yeezy was one of the most successful fashion collaborations in history. That was wild, right? But there's more where that came from. Click here for another jaw-dropping video. Hit like if this shocked you, and don't forget to subscribe with notifications on, so you never miss a deep dive like this.